Hello again, everyone. How are you going? I'm so pleased that I've got Tia Brennan from Ariya Healthcare with us today. Now, Tia and her sisters run my personal favorite distributor company. And I totally believe in using distributors for the products that I serve my clients. And I believe that we should be able to make a profit off the products we use. Because, like, if I'm doing just hypnosis, my prices are much higher than if I'm doing naturopathy, because I know I'm getting a share of the product that my client is buying. And it also spreads their cost. So I wanted to talk to Tia, who's going to help us nut out understanding those margins and how to decide, and talk about those companies that Ariya have aligned with and distribute through their distribution network up in far north Queensland, where it's uber hot, and like, who goes there except Ariya Health, like Townsville.
It's a beautiful part of the world.
I know, I have to come visit. I do have to come visit.
We often get asked why are we in Townsville, and I do really believe in supporting regional Australia.
Cool.
So we can freight really easily internationally from there. We can freight overnight because we freight our medical freight around Australia quickly from there, and we actually are supporting Australian workers. So to me, it really matters.
Yeah. And interestingly, there are direct flights from Adelaide to Townsville, would you believe?
There
is, which is why we get stuff so quickly, except liquid herbs. I'll just put that out there because I always forget.
Liquid herbs always have to go by road.
And then I'm like, where are they? Where's my delivery? Where's my delivery?
Yeah.
And it's always because I've ordered liquid herbs, which have to come by road.
Yes, they have. That's a really interesting story as to why they all have to go by road, but yes, they do.
So thank you so much for coming on. And let's start by talking about the companies we use. Let's start with an overview of why use a distributor. It's my preferred way of working. So let's get into this discussion of why use a distributor, why not go through the company, why do we do it the way we do it?
Well, the days of where one brand would offer all of the answers are probably long gone. So the reason for using a distributor is that we have an array of product suites to actually choose from, so you can cherry pick what you like out of which range, rather than having to go straight to a supplier and, you know, there are order minimums you've got to do. And it's also time. If you're going through 10 different suppliers, because I don't know about you guys, in my own clinic, I don't use one brand. I use many different brands because I want the best for my patients. So that's where a benefit of a distributor actually has.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I see my client in front of me and you see their journey through your knowledge, and, you're like, well, they're going to go this first, they can't have, they're allergic to, whatever they don't want. And if you've got an array, if you've got a selection at your fingertips, and a rep who, if you're not sure, you can ring the rep or ring you guys and go, hey, this one's out of stock. I really wanted to give it to my client. What else is there? Or what is that? There's that one. I've phoned a few times about a couple of brands going, there's that one and it's got blah, blah, and blah in it. I can't remember the name. Just to be really irritating for the poor people at the desk. And they're going, okay, let me do some searching. But having an array of different things, I feel, supports our clients. And if we just stick to one brand and one system, it kind of, well, personally to me, it feels like we're multi-level marketers.
It's limiting, right? And it's why I love having a dispensary in my own clinic, but I don't have anything in my own clinic anymore, because I found that I had a tendency to use what I had, not necessarily exactly what the person wanted. So, and that's just human nature. Or if there was things that were going short dated, I might be tempted to use that first because I hate wastage. Yeah. And I could validate that myself by going, we don't want to waste it. It's close enough anyway. I'll give them a discount, all of these things. But it's why I use an online prescription.
So when we're using distributors, number one, they help us across all of the boards with our clients, so we can pick and choose, we can cherry pick what we want. We have greater access to all of the different things which can be good and can be bad because we have to learn more product, but we have access to people who work with the product and know what's in it and are trained.
The beauty I'll just be really quick. The beauty of a distributor rep is that they're trained in multiple brands. So theoretically, you should be able to contact your distributor rep and they should give you a bit more of a broader range of what's available rather than only one rep with the brand training, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the distributor rep should be able to.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's distributors all over Australia. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 that, you know, I know of. And I use you and I use Rena and WA as my main ones. So there certainly are others. And what I like about them is the variety, etc., as we've said, the delivery, because it's so quick, the help and support that I get from the staff. But then we get down to brass tacks. And the background, I've actually got analytics on your site. So I can look at my analytics and go, am I making enough money? Am I actually losing money on that? We don't want to lose money on anything we do, right? We don't necessarily have to make money. It's for granny. You're not going to make money on it. But the loss is you've chosen to purchase it for granny yourself, right? But if granny says, no, I'm going to buy it, then you still don't want to make a loss. You want to break absolutely even so that granny gets her thing, she supports you, whatever, and gets her thing, right? And I use granny as an example, even though we should never treat family. But
never treat family.
Never treat family. But anyway, I just, you know, suddenly came up with granny there. So when we look at those numbers, how can we be assured that we're not going to make a loss? I mean, I give a discount to my clients, for example.
See, and I just think that's faulty, right? Because are you determining it? Are you giving a discount from markup or margin? Because if you're giving a 10% discount, you're making the assumption, what was your markup to begin with? What if your markup was only 15% and you're giving a 10% discount? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So if you've got wholesale and you do a 50% markup, that works out to be about a 33% margin. So there's big assumptions. Sometimes if you're giving a 10 or 20% discount, that could actually be more than you actually purchased the product for.
Right.
And that's really big. It's why on the Ariya website, we stopped the ability to give discounts based on markup.
Right.
Do you want me to show you on our website? Can you share?
You can, but this will become a podcast as well. So we still have to absolutely describe everything that we're talking about.
So the best way, so in the Ariya website, there's numerous ways that we make it really, really clear what you're actually making as a profit. One is if you go to the dashboard, well, you log in, obviously, you go to dashboard and then you go to reports, there's a rebate report. Now, that rebate report will tell you who purchased what and what profit you made from each individual item, okay? That's an after the fact. That's where that will come up and show you that. The other component is when you're filling and making a prescription. I'm just going to get up my tester one because I'm really visual. I need to see it so I can walk you through it. When you add a new prescription item, that product will actually show you its recommended retail. It will show you the minimum sell price because the Ariya prescription service has a 7.5% charge from wholesale. Let me just bring up Anxieton, for example, which is one of my favorite anxiety products. And at the bottom, it'll tell you the margin. Now, the margin is what determines your profit from that line. So you have the ability to alter that margin, and you might want to actually choose recommended retail for that, but you might actually want to check minimum sell price, which is the wholesale plus 7.5%, or you have the ability to charge any percentage of markup or margin you want, right? Now, on the product, it'll say minimum sell price is $41.07. Recommended retail is $56.99. I personally do a 55% markup. That's what I do. So that would be about a 33% margin.
Right.
Does that make sense? When you're billing the prescription, it makes it really clear what you're selling it as, and you'll know your margin right then and there.
Yep.
Okay. You can preset that data by setting a pricing rule. And I do encourage every practitioner to set a pricing rule, because if you're relying on recommended retail alone, you don't actually know what your profit margin is. And if our sustainability and viability as an industry and as a practitioner is determined by whether or not it's a viable business, if you're not taking into consideration your markup and margin, you might be selling product at a loss or not making enough to make ends meet. And that's the reality. And that happens all the time. And it was because of that, we stopped the ability to give discounts from markup, because we had thousands of practitioners actually that we should have sent invoices for because they sold it for less than I charged them.
Ah, right.
A lot. Happened
Yeah.
a lot. So
Yeah.
the update on our website probably was about 12 months ago now, and it was because of that.
Yeah.
And they said, but other people allow you to. I went, yeah, but as a practitioner myself, I want to make sure the other practitioners are making money or at least covering their cost.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, if we can set a rule at the beginning, then you've solved all of your problems. You just go in, you set the rule, done and dusted. I want to give a discount or whatever. That's fine, because my rule is up there that it's 55, and then which means I get 33 and a third. So if I were to give them a 10% discount,
You have the margin.
I have the margin.
You
Yeah.
definitely have the margin. So if you preset the rule in the pricing rules on the website, then when you're filling the prescription for them, you can change it then at any point. Now, the other thing that takes into account is pricing increases. So that will automatically occur.
Which is necessary, because everything goes up.
Everything goes up.
Nothing goes down. Everything goes up.
Unfortunately, very rarely does it go down.
Yeah.
Always.
And we never put our own prices up. We all sit around going, oh, I'll leave my hourly rate at what it is, and oh, la-di-da-di-da. And oh, what if they can't afford it? And yet the products are going up to pay their staff, to pay everything, just like you need to pay stuff if you're working for yourself. And so even if you go, oh, well, I haven't got rooms, because I don't have rooms anymore, and I work from home. So you're like, oh, well, I haven't got rooms, so I haven't got that outlay. Well, you have, because I've got to pay for all of the online things.
Yeah.
So they don't come cheap anyway. If you've got a room, it's on top of that again. And you've got to think about those margins. You've got to think about profit. You've got to think about how much do I want to earn, for the year? How much do I want to earn for the half year? How much do I want to earn for the quarter? How am I going to make that money in the quarter when I'm only working X number of days? And I haven't set a pricing rule. And so I'm selling all of these products and I'm earning $20.
Well, some recommended retail, and I ask this question all the time, is like, how do you determine your sell price? And 99.999% of the time they go, oh, we use recommended retail. Yeah. Like, from where? Oh, the suppliers give us a recommended retail. I went, okay, so what profit are you making on that? Therein lies our foundational problem. Yep. You can choose their recommended retail, no dramas, any day of the week. But if you don't understand your profit margin from that component, you're already behind the 8 ball. Yeah. Because we're a business. Yeah. Yes, look, in clinic, people often ask, why am I still in clinic? I say, I love it. I'm a know-it-all. It brings me joy. Someone pays me to tell them what to do. I mean, it's a wonderful world. But the reality is it's a business for me. I love helping people. I find it incredibly validating for my soul. It brings me joy when somebody says, you've changed my life. I wouldn't be alive without you. I wouldn't have my baby without you. Those things are really validating. But at the end of the day, it's a job. Yep, it is. And I need to make money with my clinic. And when people say things like, oh, but I work from home, so I don't have rent, I'm going, okay, that was a really smart decision because you've reduced running costs, therefore increased profitability of your business. Yeah. So it's not a good excuse to then give discounts elsewhere. It means that you've thought about your expenses and you've been able to capitalize on what you can do and increase your viability.
Yeah.
What are the stats, Geraldine? It's something like less than 5% of our industry will actually still be in the industry in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
And if
I mean that's for multiple reasons. Having
huge reasons.
Yeah, having run groups for so long, a lot of it is stress and confidence.
Very much so.
And that they don't want to see people. They've got money mindset blocks. They can't ask for the money. They feel, they're terrified when prescribing because they're not meeting with other people.
Yep.
So
or they're not making money.
Or they're not making money. So there's a myriad of reasons why people don't. And I mean, a lot of it is you see some people just get they get all the tough clients. And then you need to go, well, why are you getting these tough clients? What makes you attract these so-called hard clients in your eyes? Yeah, it might be that they're really grumpy, or it might be they're actually really difficult because of their metabolic issues. But what is making you attract them for them to be that difficult and not do what they're asked? How, so we've got a lot of baselines there. But then if we're not following our money, if we're not watching our money, if we're not watching our profits, if we're not saying, okay, in my case, I can do hypnosis at this price because that's what covers everything. Yeah. And I can do naturopathy at this price because I know the amount of supplements I'm going to sell them and the approximate number, the changes they have to make in their life, food changes and all the rest of it. So I can make those decisions and be profitable and still be here. And, I'm here 20 years later or heading into my 20th year with ups and downs because
huge ups and downs. There's lots of things outside of your control. Yeah.
And I mean, I know a lot of new graduates struggled because they graduated straight into COVID. And
can you imagine?
Horrific. Oh, you poor people, because you don't have those, those people to help you. You haven't got those groups. You weren't
so isolated, so fear-based. So, and building a business takes effort.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen overnight. And it is a massive oversight or maybe a shortfall in our training that building a business takes time and effort. And you have to surround yourself with the tribe like you do.
Yeah,
to mean that you actually get to become successful, and someone who calls you on your bullshit as well. I think that's really important.
Yeah, you've got to be called out, and
you do.
I mean, I always had a tribe around me from the moment I qualified. The people that were in the college with me, I took them with me, and we became a group. And then from there, I was lecturing, and so I had those groups. And now, of course, I run groups. And having those people around you makes all the difference. And it also means when someone says, "Oh, I can't charge that much," someone turns around and goes, "Why not? I am."
I'll go, "Why not?" Don't make someone's choices for them.
Yeah.
I was really lucky. I've never been alone either. I mean, I'm a second generation naturopath. My mum is still in clinic. I have my sisters who's also in clinic. It was never alone for me.
Yeah.
And together we really are more, and we really should be standing on each other's shoulders and building each other up and calling the bullshit and going, mate, consider there's nothing dirty about asking for the money. There's nothing dirty about charging what you charge.
Yeah.
Unless you have a sugar daddy or a sugar mama, man, then you've probably got to provide for yourself. And how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
By making sure your business is profitable. Yeah. So I know that sometimes the Ariya website can be a little bit bigger or confusing for that factor, but I want to make it so obvious how much money are you making. You need to control what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to be in charge. You need to be checking your numbers on a regular basis and knowing your numbers from a distribution system.
Yeah.
And I mean, not having, you don't have to go to the post office anymore. Like people, I used to get checks. Do you remember getting checks? You had to go to the bank and bank the checks.
A long time ago. Yeah.
Mate, and then
when you took the FPOS charges.
The FPOS, oh man, the clickety-clackety across the thing.
On a podcast, people are going to miss this.
Yeah, on a podcast.
So unfortunate.
And
it looks
the young
really
ones
wrong what we're doing.
And the young ones have got no clue what we're doing.
No clue.
Not a clue.
And then if you lost that piece of paper, those person never paid. Never paid. It was gone.
No, so you put a credit card in a metal thing, and it would go over carbon paper, and you'd push it to the end, and you'd bring it back again, and it would take the numbers on the carbon paper. You'd write on the carbon paper, and then they'd sign the carbon paper. They would get a copy, you'd get a copy, and you get a copy for your files. But the copy you got, one of those copies had to go to the bank, and you couldn't use the copy for your files to go to the bank. That wouldn't work.
And what if their credit card was overdrawn?
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, there was a lot. There was a lot.
Oh, there was a lot. You had to read the list. You had to read the list on the credit cards to see which ones were stolen and all the rest of it. It just was a nightmare. So people, you can do this really quickly, and those analytics.
So do it.
And those analytics are just there for you. You just have to look them and spend time with them. So, I use Stripe because of its analytics. Now I've got these analytics from Ariya. It just helps me to run my business faster, easier, because I can look at them and go, oh, I messed that one up, didn't I? Or, I've forgotten to do that. And, that person isn't going to pay because I didn't create the invoice properly, or whatever it was.
Even like I made $50 from that prescription, and some people are really happy with that, and other people are, that's all. Because some ranges, if you're using their recommended retail, you might make $2 off that. And that's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't know that, that's wherein lies the problem. Yeah.
Because I mean, like something like zinc, you're going to make $2, right?
Right.
Everybody needs zinc. It's a $15 bottle, or $12 for you, whatever it is, $15 for your client, or $19 for your client. You're going to make a couple of bucks.
Fine.
But on something that, the company is super spruiking, it was expensive, it's a $50 profit, and you sell it for $55, what? You've only, there's nothing there, because 55 is your GST. There's it's gone. You got nothing. So we have to be on top of our numbers, and we have to look. It's a really good idea to be able to set that price.
It is. And you can, with your R system, you can set it per brand. Okay. Right. And then remembering you can alter it also in the individual script. And the other time that I have a bit of a pet peeve about people not understanding markup and margin, but also is liquid herbals.
Yeah.
If you're not charging per mil, really, really think about it.
Yeah.
Because how often do they check price rises? When Kava went up, how much did Kava go up? I want to say $200 a bottle, but I'm probably completely exaggerating. Maybe that was Korean ginseng.
Yeah, Korean ginseng just suddenly blew through the roof. Withania blew through the roof. Like, that was so cheap.
Withania, what else was it? Like major ones that really blew through the roof. So I always charge per mil. It's lucky because I use the Ariya prescription system for liquid herbals, so it's always going to charge per mil, and I'm always going to make I do a margin of 50% typically on that, so that's about a markup of 70%, but that's just me personally. But if you're not using the prescription system through Ariya and you're doing your bulk herbals, and you've got a standard price for 200s and 50 mils and 500s, if you're not almost monthly, I'd say monthly, running through all that pricing, you really may be doing yourself out of a disservice.
Yeah.
Because that's another one, that's a big one that,
because herbals, herbals are difficult. It used to be, when I started, there were 3 herbs that were maybe 3 or 4 that were, off the wall, false unicorn and things like that. They were just totally out there. And so I was able to do a set price because things were low. There weren't all these fluctuations in price. Withania was cheap. We didn't have Kava for a long time, but then even when we did, it wasn't expensive. And so we had, I knew which ones, and so I would actually add to the top of the prescription on those. So they all had literally a red sticker on the top, and they had a price addition to the bottle cost.
But so to maintain that now,
that would be impossible.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah, impossible.
And remember, companies would only do a price rise once a year, right? And there was like 3 companies we used. And you price rise once a year, so you wouldn't have to think about it after that. You just, every year at stock take, around about that time, you'd do your prices. But it's a different world now. Sometimes they'll do price rises outside of their normal price. Like, it just can't make assumptions about those things anymore.
No. No, we need to be on top of our numbers. We need to be on top of who we're stocking. And that's another thing that we could talk about now is choosing those companies. You know, who are we aligning ourselves with when we start researching and understanding their products? I mean, there's some companies that I don't like. So I don't know any of their products. I don't bother. I don't research them. You know, it's kind of like nothing to do with me. Sugar, I'm done. You know, forget it. Whereas there's other companies, I know all the products because I know I agree with their ethics. I've aligned ethically with those companies. I love their ethos, you know.
Yeah.
And just before we started, you told a little story about a starfish, and I think you should tell that little story again.
So I'm a big believer of one is together we're more.
Yeah.
And one person can actually, what is it? It takes one snowflake to make a snowball.
Yeah.
So we really need to consider our individual footprint in our industry and what that trajectory of our industry is. So I remember my dad telling me a story, and I'm sure everybody's heard this story, but I really love it. There was a little girl walking along the beach, and there was thousands of starfish, like all stranded. And this little girl's walking along, picking up one starfish and putting it in the water. And this old man comes in and says, what are you doing? Like, you're not even making an impact. And the little girl bends down and picks up one starfish and throws it in and goes, I made an impact to that one.
Mm.
And that really highlights to me that everything I do actually has a flow-on effect. Mm. So who I choose to in my own clinic support determines in many, many ways where our industry will go. So what companies are barracking for us? Where is that company's money coming from? Where do we sit in the industry for that company? It really makes an impact. And I think sometimes we forget that we're only one practitioner. It doesn't really matter who we buy from. At the end of the day, where we spend our money really does impact what occurs.
So as we've seen, understanding those brands is like, it's really important. We have to feel confident in what we prescribe from the people that make it. You know, I only use, you know, the TGA Ost-L products. I would, when we're not meant to prescribe anything else anyway, but I never would because
insurance, right?
Yeah, our insurance. Yeah. Your insurance is
Very
like if you're sending them off to get something else somewhere else, don't do it. It's your insurance. And
really scary.
Yeah, but they're the better product.
Yep.
TGA.
They're Australian guidelines. They're safer. Each country has different guidelines about what they class as safe. Yeah. And a lot of them are unregulated. So iHerb is quite scary because of the unregulated manufacturing of supplements that don't even come necessarily from the US or someplace that you might actually trust, but from somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't trust anywhere.
Yeah.
Australia. End of story. You know, I think there's, you know, a lot of people, there is a lot of conversation about, you know, POP, they're only for us, they're much stronger. Well, are they stronger? Really? Not really, because if they were strong, they'd be on the PBS. Or we wouldn't be allowed them in the first place. Yes. The simple factor is the ones that are on the POP, those brands only want clinicians using them because they want them used for the right people at the right time in the right environment. And they've created products that they know will help our clients because they have clients. They see clients.
Supporting us. They barrack the government for our rights. Like they put money into the research, because I personally have never written a letter to my local politician about my rights as a naturopath. No. But I barrack and I support companies that do for me. Yeah. That's why I'm a big believer of staying in an association. But I mean, that's another argument for another day. And it's why I don't let my association lapse.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm with an association. I was with 3 or 4, and I did have to drop a few and go with one finally that covered more than the others. Yeah. But associations, they do it. They go the hard yards. They
got skin in the game.
Yeah, they've totally got skin in the game. And we're just like, you know, I am just one person. As we said before, you're not just one person. No, you're talking to those clients. You're explaining to your clients why you're using an Ost-L product that's manufactured in Australia. I mean, I've had, and you will have as well, everyone listening will have had those clients rock up that have supermarket bag full of product that they have bought, that they've got on iHerb and all the rest of it, and you just look at it and go, oh my Lord, you're doubling up on everything. We don't really know that this is what it says it is in the can. All those years ago, there was that piece of research that came out of Australia, but he had to go overseas to get product that wasn't what it said on the can.
Yeah.
He didn't get TGA product. He didn't get Australian Austell product.
No.
He got random overseas product, and that's how he's able to say it's not what it is on the can.
Yep.
And we know our product is good, and we're aligning with, I am giving product to my clients, not much, but I do give product to my clients, and I give them product based on the Austell, the company values. They come from a distributor so that I don't have to carry product, which therefore means I can give that bit of a discount because I have no product loss. I don't have, there's nothing going. Yeah, I save so much time because I'm just like boom, 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 boom.
Pack it, ship it, stock take it. It's unpack it, pack it up. Yeah.
I used to have to do that. You go to the bank with the check and the credit card slip, and then you go to the post office and you'd stand there and you'd post.
Yes. And then when it gets lost, you have to replace it or find it. Yeah. I don't give discounts in my own clinic. I don't, even though I use our online dispensary. I don't. And as I said, I'm a heavy prescriber because my business model is I deal with the problem and then go away so someone else can come in and I can sort that and I can move on. So I don't give discounts, but that's my business decision, right?
Yeah. I mean, mine are very minor. I do not discount my time. I will not give away. People win one-to-ones with me in mentoring. And I do, if you refer a client to me, then you will get a free appointment. But that person is well by the time they're referring to me. So by seeing them for half an hour, I've got no research to do. I've got nothing. That for them is their catch up is, hey, we tweak this, we tweak that. It's an easy half an hour with a client that I've given a free consult to, but the value of my new client, and that's another thing we need to think about, is client value. How much does each client bring you in? Gross and net. What is your profit? I can say, yes, each client back in the day was around $3,500 for my naturopathic clients because I see them over a long period of time, right? It's not just, hey, here's your bill for $3,500. Love it.
That sounds fabulous. That would be
it would be fabulous. Maybe I need to realign my values. Anyway, so here it is, my average client value would be that amount, but that's what they're paying me over time. But what is my profit off of that by the amount of time that I spend with them, with the products that they purchase? If I was to put on the Ariya amount on top of that, then they'd probably spend more than, who knows what the amount would be. But we need to look at our margins. We need to look at our profits. We need to look at our overall business.
And as I said, you can still choose recommended retail. That's not a problem. But nobody, when I speak to them, understands what their profit is and their markup and margin component, because they're two very, very different things. One, markup determines your sell price, margin determines your profitability. And I urge everybody, just understand it. Look at our pricing rules. Look at the minimum sell price, the recommended retail, and your margin.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something we all need to understand and get on board with. And I think we will call it to a close there. But thank you so much, and thank you, Ariya Health, for doing all that for us and for, putting it on the website so we can look at these numbers. And thank you so much for coming on and chatting with our listeners.
My absolute pleasure, Geraldine. It's a bit of a topic I love having a chat about.
Correct.
Because I want to see us all here in the next 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is it. We don't want to be the 2 or the 5 year dropout. We want to be doing it in 20 years the way we want to do it, earning the money we want to earn, the style we want to do it. So it does take a while to, get into the systems of yourself and how you're going to do it. And once you're there, it should be an easy job where the money comes in.
Yep. And lean on your distributors. Obviously, I would encourage you all to lean on Ariya. But you know, they're part of your tribe. And if you surround yourself with some good reps, some good support, they will help you to actually be viable and make it actually not so isolating.
Yeah. Yeah. And isolation is a problem. So guys, we're all here. Connect with us. So thank you very much, Tia, for joining us.
My absolute pleasure.